Today's Addenda updates, etc. Well, it's been, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month, what have you. You can see I found a pair of hair clippers. What's the latest? Found out some more about the nature of how spirits are managed, low-level spirits, that is. Arca beings have the power, or the ability, I should say, power. Well, they are Arca power beings. The L's. Arca beings have the ability to make modifications. Well, that's the nature of their Arca. In mythology, various beings are known as having swords. Now, I don't know if this could be if it would be accurate to call it a sword or just a tool, modification tool. There are items that look like either a unident, a monodent, a bident, or a trident. Poseidon, Elohim, has a trident. I don't know what Michael's got. Michael has also, I guess, known as Thor, or maybe it's a Heme. But anyway, it's like a battle axe. It's what it's described as, also known as the Demolisher. It has to do with their ability to manage certain types of spirits. The Olam reality has a bident, which is in anime of all things. There's this blonde female in a red bodysuit, goes by Azuka, as I remember correctly. 02 looks similar, but Azuka, I think I've seen. Maybe it is 02, but I think it was Azuka. It's a big. I've been looking for a bident. Also, certain cosplays have cosplays with a pair of horns. That's indicative or indice of the Olam reality. Also shown by the calf. The calf seraph has a pair of horns. So when you see a pair of horns, it's indicative of the Olam reality, and why the Olam has a bident, which what I saw with Azuka was this very long, looks like a pitchfork, if you will. And also why music is so important in the Olam reality, why churchianity uses music so much, and why in the book of Revelation, although I don't think it's related directly to the bident, where it describes, I don't know if it's in the book of Revelation or if it's in Jeremiah 50 and 51, but it describes the sound of thy viols, V-I-O-L-S, King James keyword. The sound of thy viols shall be heard no more. These musical instruments, which are so important in the daughter of Babylon, the United States, the music industry. Anyway, so there's with the Olam reality is a bident, and it's only capable in the Olam reality of managing energy beings. So the Olam reality has the ability to both connect and disconnect spirits from bodies in the energy reality. And Olam has been keeping the spirits of Olam's beings that died, the Golden Age men, the spirits, so-called demons, if you will. They're, in a way, hapless victims. The war amongst the Arca beings has caught all of the lesser beings as just hapless bystanders, really. Because the Arca beings are the ones that are the real big doers of this thing. So Olam's Golden Age men, these birds and upright walking reptilian creatures, hapless victims that were obliterated and wiped out, and their spirits trapped here on earth. And Olam has been keeping their spirits alive by transplanting them into new hosts. That's why you see possession so much, especially here in the Daughter of Babylon, the United States. It's that cage, a hold, Revelation 18, of every evil and unclean spirit and evil bird. So Olam has been managing keeping, because if the spirits don't have a host, they actually dematerialize and they die. That was something I never knew. I always wondered why it was that a spirit would hunger for a host. Well, they have to have a host to stay alive, to maintain their organization, and I suppose in a way containment. Containment is important in many, many respects, in many ways. Organization and containment, so that it maintains its structure of organization. The Shaddai reality has a monodent or a unident. The Shaddai reality also does things with spirits, but only in the realm of ethereal spirits, only with angels. What's unique about the Ehim reality with Michael, Thor, Ehim, is this weapon called the Demolisher. It's literally how Daniel described this thing to me, the Demolisher. And it's a trident. It's it's either a two-edged sword, which is essentially a trident. It has a point and it has two edges. So a two-edged sword is a type of trident, if you will. And then, of course, you probably are familiar if you were to just type in Google image search or the search engine of your choice, or just go look up Poseidon and the depictions of Poseidon. You'll see this kind of like three-pronged fork depiction of this item that Poseidon has. Well, this is a management device used to manage spirits. Now, what's unique about the trident is that it can manage both types of spirits. It can manage energy spirits and ethereal spirits, both. It does both types of spirits. So it's a dual purpose, dual use tool. Also potentially, or definitely known as Thor's hammer. It's depicted as the hammer that Thor has. Thor is in the names of the gods. It's the same eternal being, just known in a different culture by a different name and depicted differently. But what you're looking for is a construct and a nature of relationships one to another and how they behave and their characteristics. Don't just get hung up on a name per se. So that was a little added piece to that. I've done some more research. I want to talk a little bit more about the energy levels of civilizations. I was reading up, following around some Wikipedia links. I started out on Freeman Dyson, something I've been on the internet now for more than 30 years, fully 30 years now. Started out on the internet a long time ago. And the nice thing about the internet is the way that one thing leads to another. And Wikipedia, even with its editorial biases and central planner management, etc., it's still a good source of information. So what I did was I started out with Freeman Dyson. His name, he even says he regrets this. So I can't say that, well, that's what it is. The Dyson sphere. It is this spaceship. And part of why I'm saying this is because I ask them, I go to the gods with requests, and every now and then they humor me and they show me what I want to see. In this case, I wanted to see the after everything has happened. When I wanted to see the final event, the epilogue, if you will. And what I saw was, and I'm just going to truncate this, I was presented, I had come out into an open area after some other things took place. I came out of an enclosed area. There was a panic taking place. People were moving in one direction. There was almost like a riot. And I came out into a very open area. There was no green anything anywhere. There was soil. It looked gray. And the sky was very clear. And I looked up into the sky and I saw, and it was Earth. I knew I was on Earth. And I looked up into the sky and I saw 2 planets near the Earth. What I was, and of course, what I had asked to see were the Dyson Sphere and the shuttlecraft. The mothership, if you will, known in other stories, if you will. There are stories of a large spaceship. Just look for patterns. And then a shuttlecraft, which in and of itself, you could call it a mothership. It's 3,000 miles in size, and it comes and it rests, parks itself, if you will, on the North Pole. And it was here with Shaddai et al. For 66 million years as a result of the battle of the KT event and the defeat of the Olam reality, and Olam being displaced as the primary god of this dimension, and then Shaddai, Ahim, Elyon coming from other dimensions to this dimension and asserting themselves as the dominant L's of the universe. Ironic, that cartoon, Masters of the Universe. Well, plural. Well, who would the masters of the universe be? Could it be? How about Yua al Shaddai, Yua Elohim, and Yua al Elyon and their entourage, and then Yua, the archangel Yua for Yua al Elyon, and Gabriel for Yua al Shaddai, and Michael for Yua Elohim. Maybe they're transposed. There's just a wee bit of speculation that perhaps Gabriel and Michael are transposed. Currently, we have them associated with Gabriel being the messenger, the mouthpiece for Shaddai, and Michael being the messenger and the mouthpiece for Him, so-called Jesus. So I had asked to see the aftermath, the time when it says they will see him. They that see him shall wail, because they know that no matter what they have tried or done or served to death and the angel of death, the power of death, there'll be still some survivors of the bad guys, apparently. And here comes the masters of the universe who have completely defeated Olam and all of Olam's minions, and are coming back to set up shop and begin harvesting operation of what's left of the earth. They've already obliterated fully half of the earth. And I don't know if I had said this before. They used the smallest weapon in their inventory, if you could call it a weapon. A 0 point. I was told this very specifically. If any of you have ever seen the game Fortnite, the PC video game, I don't know if it's available on other platforms. They have some outlandishly gigantic weapons, handheld carried weapons. I don't know if it was that game or another game, these almost comical type character games with just weapons. I think I saw some type of a very large rifle. It was like just a large rectangle. Now I have to distinguish what did I see where. In the depictions, these comical depictions, are weapons that are almost too large to be of any real use if they actually really existed, because they're so large. Well, now let me shift gears. I had a dream or a vision maybe 2 years ago, and a man was holding a gigantic weapon. It was roughly rectangular, maybe 6 or 7 8 feet long. It was just a huge rectangle. It was black, just this giant, and it wasn't just like a piece of, looked like it was a chunk of wood. No, it had fluted surfaces and machining, and it was black, and it was clear it was a rifle, and it had in the area roughly around where the trigger was, there were these in the area of where a magazine. It wasn't a bullpup design. It was a more in the way of earthly conventional weapons, where the magazine is and the receiver are ahead in front of the trigger, whereas like a bullpup design, there's the barrel, the trigger receiver mechanism, and then the magazine behind the trigger. Well, the receiver's back there somewhere too. But anyway, the more modern bullpup designs has a large something or other goes by here. My recording gets distracted. Hook and ladder fire truck going by, making noise on the many potholes on the streets here, and then puts on its air brakes. I wonder what it's up to. There's no fire alarm going off anywhere. Anyway, unless it's come to deliver water to us, which I highly doubt. Fire trucks do come to deliver water. This is a garden, a public garden that I come and make the recordings at here, of large public space. It's quiet, peaceful. Some foliage now, as I had spoken during the previous recordings. Foliage coming forth, still in a shady. My recordings probably are not so pretty or beautiful light-wise. They could have better lighting. I apologize, but I just don't like sitting out in broad sunlight. Tried to do it on a cloudy day. The one recording I did that was aborted by the wind had good lighting because it was an overcast, cloudy day. I'd like to do more recordings on maybe days like that. Just I haven't had that opportunity or haven't been so diligent. But anyway, so I was presented with this weapon, and the magazines were gigantic. They were nodular, round, a pair, perfectly round, black nodules. And I was like, wow. Couldn't quite imagine what would be round, and a pair of them right next to each other like that. So I wrote it all down and went and talked to Daniel, and Daniel said, well, you're being shown that's the weapon of Delta Capricorni. It's a pair of stars. And the specific and the number, they spoke to me too. They said, no, it's a 0.90. That's where I came up. I was told by the elves or the archangels, whoever it was, came to tell me this. This is the weapon that's going to be used to destroy the Earth. Well, everything around here for probably 200 light years, really. The nebula, there's multiple blast waves and shock waves from a star when it blows up. And as those various shock waves ripple throughout the local region of the galaxy, they cause, if there's any type of life there, there won't be. And so it was told to me that this is the smallest weapon in their inventory, and it's a 0.90 solar radius star cannon. They made it very clear. It's the smallest weapon they've got, because I was thinking, I haven't discussed this too much, but Daniel and I have talked about it, and I've pondered it as I've seen it. If you've ever seen a picture of the antennae galaxies, there is the possibility that there was a time when galaxies were being thrown at each other. There were beings that had enough volition. It wasn't just the will; they could do it too. That's kind of as regarding where questions or individuals are questioning one another. What's your volition? Somebody had the volition maybe to throw another galaxy. Oh, I don't like your galaxy. I'm going to take this galaxy and throw it at your galaxy. I'm going to smash two galaxies into each other. How about that for a weapon? Just throw another galaxy at a galaxy. I don't like you. I'm going to smash your galaxy with another galaxy. How about that? How about them apples? How about that for a weapon? So I was presented with the description of Delta Capricorni as a weapon, as the 0.90 solar radius star cannon, and that they very clearly said this is the smallest weapon that they have. It's like, And they, of course, now having been in the intervening year or two, however long it was since they showed me and told me that, I've now had the opportunity to go nose around. They weren't happy about it because I did it of my own volition. They kind of they were like, just go wherever you want to go. They normally I have the guided tour, but and I went back through my dream log, and I did it for more than 2 weeks. I just went and looked at whatever I wanted to look at, and I nosed around a lot over in the power realm. And when I told Daniel of the things that I was looking at and seeing, he said it was so big that it hurt his mind to enter with me at what I was looking at. Normally, when I interact with Daniel or he interacts with me, there's an aspect of man's mind, which in kind of just a general secular parlance, we call it TMI, too much information. And when your mind reaches a point of only being able to assimilate or assume so much, to receive information only so much at a time. And what will normally happen is you become drowsy, you become tired. If you're in the mood to receive, that is, there is a limit of how much your mind can process at one time, because knowledge, information is processed. It's not just stuck in your mind. There is a process where information has to be moved around in the various spaces of your brain, literally, from short-term memory to long-term memory. And your short-term memory can only hold so much as a cache, and then you have to rest and sleep and meditate on what's in your short-term memory as your conscious mind moves it into your long-term memory. And so when there's a long amount of communication, especially very complex and any type of new information that's very little or no prior experience or knowledge, the mind is not able to comprehend or easily process this information, and it easily overloads the mind. The normal mechanism, at least that I have experienced, and Daniel often experiences, because I'm the seer and I've been doing it for 45 years, about 45 years. Just, I'm going to go off and go wander around and look at this and look at that. These guys are just driving around in circles. That is a fire truck, not just a low boy. Anyway, so the mind has a mechanism to limit loss or to avoid overloads, and it's just drowsiness. You fall asleep. You fall asleep. You get tired. You can't assimilate any more knowledge, and you become drowsy and fall asleep. Daniel and I call it his marbles. So Chuck comes along, he's had all these dreams and visions, and starts telling Daniel all these dreams and visions, and Daniel, of course, enters into them with me and gives me the interpretations. And after about 10 to 30, depending on how long each one was, it will tax Daniel to the limit of his capabilities, and he'll become tired and or get a migraine headache. And we'll have to conclude for that session, and then he'll rest, take a nap, and we'll resume again in 24 hours later and begin again. And we haven't had any major problems until recently, and that was when I was allowed by the gods to just go look at whatever I wanted to go look at. So, because Daniel told me over a period of days, as I began to tell him this, he said, "Where did you go? What are you looking at?" It's not that it was a bad thing. It's that I went to go look at the really great stuff. They did the biggest, massive whatever, right? And normally I'm taken on a tour, And maybe I have things out of sequence. It's like taking a small child or an infant, take a 6-month-old child and present them with one of the, take them to some movie with all the bright, the Ultramax theaters. Anyway, someone who you have to grow. There's a growth process in assimilating information. So Chet skipped to the big stuff, and Daniel said he said, "What are you doing? It hurts my mind to look at this stuff." Not because it was bad, because it was so big. It was so huge. He told me, he said, "You are looking at machines the size of entire galaxies." Think about that. A machine the size of an entire galaxy wasn't in this 4-dimensional reality. It was in the power reality. It was in the ethereal power reality of the Olympus Asgard realm. Chet was off in the 8-dimensional reality, nosing around, saying, "What can I see here? What's this? What's that?" And I did sense a kind of a bit of a dread, a danger there about it. There was a kind of an interesting, a different feeling about it. Normally, I'm just kind of in a happy awe to go wherever it is and look at it, whatever it is I'm seeing. But every now and then, I get this heavy feeling, whatever that whatever I'm looking at is there might be a danger. For instance, I don't know if I had said this before. I have seen the cherub that guards the way to the tree of life, and I remember, of course, it's not what it looked like to me. In fact, it looked kind of 2-dimensional. Actually, it was flat. It looked like a scissoring motion like this, and it was flat, laying on the ground. I didn't know what it was. I was looking at the whole universe. So everything was condensed down. I've had a couple more of those. Where I knew it was big. I mean, I'm looking at this going, wow, this is really something. I'm taking it in. I'm going around. I'm looking at this and I'm looking at that. And I thought it was a ship. And I flipped open a hatch. And a hatch made of great big stones. It was a ship made of rocks. Can you imagine that? A ship 1,000 feet long, 1,200 feet long, made of great big rocks, stones, fluted edges, all fitted together. The size of 4 feet by 4 feet, a rock that big. And then a compartment inside a ship, well lit and blue, 60, 80 feet high, maybe 120 feet wide, 300 feet long, and I'm at the top of this compartment looking down into the compartment of a ship, and the ship is at sea and in a storm, in a gigantic storm, and everything in the ship is cool, it's all fine, but the ship is sinking, and there's, the way my mind is perceiving it, damage is taking place. And I decided to flip open a hatch. I came up on deck on the stern of this ship. It was a gigantic hatch, flipped open about 15 feet by 20 feet, flipped open a hatch, came out and looked, saw just the most, I can't hardly describe to you the storm that I saw. There's no storm on earth that I think could describe the dark, black, swirling maelstrom that I saw, which I just kind of, wow, I'm just looking at it, and then when I went and told the dream to Daniel, Daniel said, the ship you were in, that was all of the galaxies. That was all the 4-dimensional reality. That was all the cosmos. You were seeing multiple dimensions at the same time. You were looking at all of the universe at once, which was what you thought was a ship made of rocks. And I'm looking at the energy, the machinery spaces and the propulsion and the room, the engine rooms, and it was peculiar because I was like, I'm seeing things that didn't make any logical sense to me. I'm like, A greenhouse inside of a ship? What? That's not what it was. I was looking at all of this universe at the same time. My mind is taking it all in all at once. No problem. And then I'm all right. Let's go out. Let's go outside this universe. Let's go look. I'm going to go look at something else. And then I look at this black. I should have known if it's a lot of blackness. What is it? It's the Errata reality. Okay, Chet decides to cross over the event horizon and go look at eternity. To look at Erebus. I've seen Erebus before, but not as grand as it was this way. The other times I've been in Erebus, it was more of the two-dimensional, the flat, two-dimensional, one-dimensional aspects of Erebus, where it's just a flat surface. This time it looked very three-dimensional to me, but it was movement. And I said this, I didn't describe what it was in this previous recording. I said there's a whole, may not look like there's much going on around here, but there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the Errata reality. That's the dream that I'm referring to, that I was taken in multiple dimensions at the same time. I was looking at 4 dimensions pretty much all at the same time. I was looking at the 0, the 1, the 2, and the 4 all at the same time. It was grand. Anyway, so I've kind of taken a segue off of this, and that is that Chet took his own little tour, because normally Daniel says, there is one with you. Chet is taken. It's like, okay, we're gonna take you and show you this, and then after you see this, then we're gonna show you this, and that was, I've reviewed my dream log about the Syzygies. Went through the 15 Syzygies. There's the 4, the 5, and the 6. The Decad, the 5th one. It's called the Decad. The Ogdoad, the Decad, and I don't know what the 6th one is called. It had a name, something with 12, obviously, that I haven't memorized yet. But there was the Ogdoad of the Syzygies, the Decad of the Syzygies, and then there's the one of the 12 of them. It's 4 pairs, 5 pairs, 6 pairs, Syzygies. So I had reviewed that, and I was looking at kind of like timing information, how many days, how many dreams and visions, what, was it a dream, was it a vision? How many days did it take the L's to send this information to me? Or they were sending it to me and I was not paying attention, doing other things, or just trying to sleep. I've actually had this happen. I'm going to sleep. I want to go to sleep now. And they're like, no, you're not. Please, I want to go to sleep. No, you're not. We're going to talk to you first. I want to go to sleep. No, we're going to talk to you first. You can't get away from them. I told a couple of people this before. You can't. There's no way you can. You can't get away from them in your dreams. You can't escape them in death. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. You can't get away from them by doing that either. You can't get away from them. They're everywhere. They are everything. You can't get away from them. So when they come to you, for you, you are not going anywhere. There was a proverb or something in Ecclesiastes. There's a couple of these proverbs. One is that there's nothing you can do against you. There's no right or power against you. Something like that. And then the other one is there's no place. I think it was Dawood said, I can't hide from him. I can't hide from the gods. They're everywhere. I can't hide from them. There's no place, any kind of aspect of reality to get away from them. When they want to talk to you, if they want to come see you or talk to you, they're going to. And you can't get away from them. Anyway, so for about 2.5 weeks, I went on an unguided tour, and Chet wandered around over in the power reality, and I kept telling Daniel these dreams and visions, and every time I did, Daniel was in like pain. He could only do like 1 or 2 or 3 of them, and he had to stop. He was like, I'm getting a massive migraine headache. It hurts. I can't. What are you looking at? What is this? Why? And mainly what, not so much why. And the why wasn't until later. But then the unguided tour stopped, and they threw a shackle on me. They cuffed me. God, I got these handcuffs on. It's like, no more unguided tours for you. But still, it was really great, good stuff to go look at in the meantime. And one thing that Daniel told me about that, kind of going, where am I going with all this? Machines that can just go ba-doop, 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 pop out Dyson spheres. There's a machine in the power reality, and it just spits out Dyson spheres. Pop, 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 pop. You know, it's these structures that are 200 million miles in diameter. It's like a machine that spits out marbles. You think how big a marble machine is, and you know, if a Dyson sphere is 200 million miles in diameter, a little marble, and we got these marble machines that spit out marbles. Well, they've got machines too, except they're the size of galaxies, and they pop out Dyson spheres. That's just an idea that Daniel, he did not say that that's exactly what he saw, but he did say that to me, though. He just said, yeah, they got machine, and it spits out Dyson spheres. Now, I think he was saying that as a hypothetical, but just to give you that as an idea, that there's these little machines in our reality that are only 200 million miles in diameter. And then there's machines in the power reality, the ethereal realm. These things are the size of galaxies. So, you know, how many light years across? How many billion light years across is that? Whatever. Anyway, so now on to the civilizations. Because I was getting back to the original part of the topic here with Dyson spheres, is that I went to the Freeman Dyson Wikipedia page, and then I started taking some links off of there. And one of them was Dyson sphere, because that's what I wanted, was Dyson sphere. And then off of there were the levels, because this is going to be the topic, is the consumption levels of energy of a level 1, level 2, and level 3 civilization. And it was by this Russian guy that first presented it in 1964. I haven't quite memorized his name. Starts with a K. Karakov, whatever. I'm butchering his name, but he's the one that first put forth. It was a sci-fi movie from 1937, talking about these levels of civilizations of the amount of energy that they can manage and consume. A level 1 is one that consumes all the amount of energy for a planet, which is 10 to approximately the 16th power. Then all the energy of a solar system, which is approximately 10 to the 26th power, and then of a galaxy, which is approximately 10 to the 36th power. So the numbers were easy to memorize. Had a little tiny diagram showing a planet, a solar system, and a galaxy, and it was just 10 to the 16th, 10 to the 26th, and 10 to the 36th. They were easy numbers to assimilate of the amount of watts. Joules, I don't know if ergs were in there. Was it ergs? I saw some computations with ergs floating around